Hashtag Impact invites you in to eavesdrop on raw and honest conversations on creating positive change in the world. I am your host, Regina Larco, and together with guests and hosts from around the globe, we encourage you to get curious about what making an impact means to you. Join the conversation and share your voice at hashtagimpact.com. Today, I am with Sarah LaPham. She brings over 20 years of experience in advocacy, lobbying, and communications to the role of the director of A Different Story. She is also the mother to a young son with a rare disease. Her experience is rooted in advancing the rights of vulnerable and marginalized people in society, including in the field of sexual reproductive rights and health, as well as within the healthcare industry at large. Since 2022, A Different Story has supported families in Amsterdam caring for children and teens with rare genetic and developmental conditions, complex care needs, and disabilities. Welcome to Hashtag Impact, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We also have in the room with us Nina Aziz Justin, who is one of the community members of A Different Story. And I'm so grateful to both of you for taking the time to share all about this beautiful community that brings so much support, encouragement, and a safe space to the people that we're going to talk about today. Welcome to both of you. Hi, Nina. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me here, Regina. Good to see you both.
Sarah, I want to start with something that I found in your impact report, actually, where you opened the report sharing, and now I quote, "I feel deeply grateful for the families, volunteers, partners, and supporters who make A Different Story what it is. Together, we have built spaces where parents feel less alone, children feel included, and difference is met with understanding and care. I'm continually inspired by the strength, honesty, and generosity within this community. Together, we are shaping a more inclusive future, one where difference is acknowledged, celebrated, and met with meaningful support." How does it feel to you to hear me read back these words that you shared?
Oh, it feels warm and fuzzy, I think. It feels very spot on, This journey really started and a need and a desire just to connect with other people and to feel less lonely. And that's what it continues to be as we build it.
And I think where we could maybe start is actually that beautiful story about how the two of you met, Sarah and Nina. The story that brought you together, that I find, when I first heard it, I thought, how is that even possible that the two of you met, that you share so much and you live so close together. Well, I'm already saying too much. I hand it over to you and let you explain what I'm still in awe of, how it feels like so serendipitous. I can't even pronounce that word. Like destiny. You were meant to meet each other, I think.
Nina, you want to take this one or shall I start?
Well, you start, Sarah. Let's hear your version, how we met.
Yeah,
And then I'll tell
Sarah's
my
side of the
version.
story and Nina's side of the story.
Well, it's just really wild because when you have a child with an ultra rare condition and when you find out about that diagnosis and you're told that you're the 21st case, your child's the 21st case in the world, you think oh my God, like, I'll never meet anybody else that has this condition. I have nobody around me that understands, blah, 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 all the things that you can imagine that your mind goes through as a parent. And randomly on a, well, I don't know if it's random or not, but on a Facebook group, we connected. There is one Facebook group that connects these parents, and that's the only thing that currently exists. All the parents that have a child with TRP12, which is the neurological condition. And Nina reached out to me and said, "Oh, I also live in Amsterdam." And I had avoided joining this group for years and years because I didn't see value in it. And I can talk about that a bit more later. But she reached out to me, and it turned out she not only lived in Amsterdam, but she lived in my neighborhood, and our children were the same age. So,
I have
Yeah.
goosebumps.
The
Nina,
the
how was that
crazy
moment?
the
Yeah, when
crazy thing is that because we live in the same neighborhood, like literally, like I would say 2 canals away in
yeah.
Amsterdam speech, because we live in the canal area and it's the oldest neighborhood of Amsterdam. So, you know, it's kind of strange that we both live in that same hood. And I have passed, Sarah, the community is also a physical community, right? So it's not an online community like the Facebook community that Sarah mentioned on Facebook just now. That's a specialized Trip 12 community on Facebook. So parents from all around the world, because this is such a rare neurological condition, um, assume that it's not very easy to find another parent living in the same country, let alone in the same hood, right? So they all gather in this space. Well, that was the only space I knew when Isabel was also diagnosed as 21, number 21 in the world. So both our children were seen by the same hospital. I'm not sure about by the same doctors, but it's definitely the same hospital and diagnosed as number 21. So when Sarah told me that Iggy was number 21 in the world, I was like, so was Isabel. So that is how scarce the information is. Even the doctors are not even sure what number the kids are. Maybe there are other number 21 in the world, somewhere else in other countries, but we could not verify that, right? And I remember when Isabel was diagnosed, she was diagnosed when she was 2.5 after a year of, interrogation and a year of tests and different let's say, research work done on her. But Iggy and Isabel are the same age. We live in the same neighborhood. We went to the same hospital. How bizarre is that? And when I saw the physical space that Sarah has, and Sarah has put up a little kind of a poster on the window, and it says a different story for parents with children with rare diseases. I thought, oh, first of all, I really love the poster. It's really beautiful, it's colorful, and it looks really fun. For the first time, rare disease comes across fun and not sad. So I thought, okay, I would like to join this community. But somehow, you know, I can't justify it now, but somehow that took such a long time, and it took me that Facebook communication with Sarah to actually connect. And when Sarah organized I don't know, first or second meeting, probably the first, I was there with one other parent crying,
Yeah.
you know, crying. And since then, I think we met a lot of people in the group, and
Yeah.
crying is okay. So I love that. Yeah, that's my story. How I met Sarah's story.
there were a couple of things I heard now that I already know I would love to speak with you for hours and hours. And I hope that this is just like maybe just the start of a conversation that we also can continue on. The thing though that I maybe want to just let my intuition guide me now, is that moment when you said you saw that poster, right? You saw that poster. It was colorful. I agree. Like everyone head over to all the marketing channels as well of A Different Story, visit their website. I had the same kind of feeling. Like you feel invited. Like it feels so open. The colors, the font, everything just speaks. It spoke to me as well. Yet it took you time to actually enter the space, I guess, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Sarah, for you and within your journey, I understand in some of the things that I read, there is so much, like there's shame around all of this. There is feeling of you're not part of this because whenever you meet in society, kind of like society tells you there's something wrong with your child, when really there isn't anything wrong with your child at all. Yet
Yeah.
there's almost like maybe that feeling of you having to explain yourself or that you are not fitting in any of the boxes. But again, I'm already talking too much again. Just handing it over to you, Sarah. What what comes up for you when you now hear Nina describe how it was for her passing that poster for the first time, but it took her a while to actually enter?
Yeah, I think, well, that makes sense because it took me a while to make that poster. Um, and, I think the need, the shame is certainly a big part of it, and we can either feel ashamed or we can just talk about the shame, and once we talk about the shame, it starts to go away and we understand where it comes from, and the shame comes from a society that doesn't accept or understand difference. It's not the shame that we feel for our children, there's love there, there's so much love, and there's hardship, and it's hard. These 2 things I think that are you're constantly wrestling with when you're raising a child with multiple and complex needs, and a child that nobody can tell you what they need or what their life is gonna be like, right? But the thing is that most parents don't know what their child really needs or what their life is gonna look like, But we live in this world that we assume that we do if you have a normal functioning child. And I think what I really wanted to do is create a space where you could talk about those struggles and that shame and how hard it is and how much pain that it brings you to have a different child, but then also be able to celebrate them. Because it's both of those things that are needed. And that's I think what started me to need other people to do that with, to have those conversations.
And how was that first moment or that first community meeting then, or the first time you put that poster up and the first person that did walk into that space? How did that uh, feel, or what was the, I guess, what made you do it then in the end? That you actually said like, I will do it. I will build that space.
I think because for me, it was about creating something that didn't exist. And in the beginning, I really wish there were so many years that were so unbelievably hard because I lacked community. I lacked being seen. I lacked connection with other people. It wasn't necessarily the disease, of my child. It was the isolation and the loneliness that comes with that, and so much of that has nothing to do with the condition. And that's what's so sad about it. It's about society, it's about having a child that doesn't fit in. It's about a focused on disabilities and a comparison to a normal functioning child, which, you'll never be able to fit into that world. So you have to create your own. And that's where it came from. And I guess that first time we met and I decided to make that poster and Nina and one other parent showed up, I remember just, like, crying during the meeting, but afterwards and feeling so much relief, like, that wasn't that hard, It just took me being vulnerable and just not caring what the outcome was because I needed it, and I knew that other people needed it too.
Reading about both of your stories, and I encourage everyone to really visit a different story website. I will put all the links in the show notes because there are these beautiful stories of the families that you support. You can read them there. And especially if you're listening now from wherever you are in the world, even if you're not based in Amsterdam, right? You can feel seen and heard, I think, through stories of others as well, if this is something that you are going through as well. And what I see kind of like in many of the stories that are shared there is that especially that mm, that uncertainty of the years often where you don't have any answers, where you're trying to understand, how can I support my child? You get very maybe confusing or sometimes not even conclusive answers from doctors that are themselves confused because these diseases are so rare, right? But there's something that I hear in many of these stories mentioned or saw mentioned, that gut feeling. There's something that, Nina, you mentioned that, especially as you were describing your journey with Isabel, that instinct that you just needed to trust, or need to learn how to trust as well. And of course, I mean, I had to bring your book here today as well, right? I had to do it. The Home Within, the beautiful book that you wrote, Nina, about your journey of belonging across cultures and change. And there is that mention of that gut feeling that you share about, and I'm gonna read it out because I think it's really, really beautifully put. That interoception. Am I pronouncing it right, Nina? Interoception. I'd never heard that word before, but I find it beautiful. Interoception. Neuroscience calls it interoception, the ability to sense the inner state of our bodies. The gut, sometimes called our second brain, is lined with more than 100 million neurons, more than the spinal cord. It listens, remembers, decides. It churns not only food, but feeling, butterflies, dread, longing, relief. That twist in your stomach or warmth in your chest is not random. It is data. It is the body speaking before the mind can catch up. And I think this is something that is actually universal, that anyone who has ever parented has experienced it. But I think it often takes a lot of bravery and courage to actually trust that data. Nina, what do you think?
Well, a different story is also mentioned in my book because it's a very important part of my journey. And before I found a different story, I must have now, because, this is also the beauty of our minds. We tend to select things that give us a lot of pain and put a different shade on it many, many years later so that we're not trapped in that pain, right? But for the longest time, I was trapped in that pain. And a different story gave me that space. And when we go back to data, it's a place where you can present your data. And, and not just me. I think many other members of the community use that space for data presentation, fact checking, that you can ask another mother to not validate, but to see if they recognize your feeling. Are you not going mad on your own, Because it is a very isolating and lonely journey, like Sarah mentioned. It's so difficult to explain it to people who have not gone through it, right? Just a few weeks ago, I was interviewed, by another podcaster. It was about other stuff, but obviously this is a part of my life. I can't wipe that part of my life away from who I am today. Maybe there was Nina before Isabel's diagnostics, and there's Nina after, and they are not the same. They are similar, but they're not the same. I'm changed. And for so many members of the community that Sarah has built, they all have that. And sometimes it's like a mega breakage, right? It's a disconnection, like cluck, then you're cut off. It's like you could see your whole life, but you can't go back through that door. You kind of enter this door and that's it. It's a one-way street. And I think what Sarah has created for all of us is this space where you have this new data or you have this data, and many people don't have that. They don't have to do it. You don't choose this, right? So you are just suddenly, you just have all this information and you don't know what to do with it. And a lot of this information are very heavy information, like sad, shame, guilt, isolation. Then the day-to-day stuff, that's the day-to-day stuff. Like, I'm not sure I should be mentioning this without, some people might not even think it's okay. But like, for example, my daughter has a period. I mean, I don't know how to do that because I didn't think I was gonna have a child like her who mentally is not the same as a neurotypical child, but physically exactly the same. So how do I deal with that? So that community that Sarah created is not just about me. It's also about other parents behind me, the new moms with younger daughters. They can ask me now, how do you deal with that? Because I have no one to ask. If I go to the hospital now, it would be like, oh, do you want to consider putting your child on contraception? Or do you want to have some kind of intervention? But this is life. This is day-to-day stuff, And it's like, so I think, going back to data, I think what Sarah has built, a community, a different story, is a different set of data for everyone, actually. And we speak a lot about how the society is very diverse and how the society supports everyone. But I'm still questioning that. And I think without this community, I wouldn't be where I am today, speaking about this so openly and carrying the pain that we carry. Everyone in the community carries it the way we carry it today, because we have each other.
Thank you. How beautiful to hear that. Yeah, I also feel like that's such an important point to make about data and how we can make our own data.
Yeah.
And that's never the information or advice that you're getting from specialists or doctors. That's this negative loop of trial and error and disappointment, right? Because that's things that health professionals and educators in society aren't trained or know about, right? But the reality is that when you have something like this happen in your life and you have a child that you're given that's very, very different and doesn't fit into those boxes, we all have a choice to make. And you can go along with the societal fear that is mainly there, and your only thing that you're looking at is societal fear around parenting and about having a child, that you don't know what your future holds, and that there's shame if you have a child that's different or that can't speak or use the toilet on their own, or basic things that we take for granted in kids. Or we can accept that this is different, this is hard, but it's a beautiful life and I'm going to celebrate it. And there's more there, and I love that. And that's certainly, I think, one of the best things that I get out of it myself is the healing that comes through that acceptance, and also being able to talk about, the anger, and that it does feel unfair. And I do have waves of grief and sadness still. It's not just over. It's like we talk about this a lot in our group, is this living loss, that it's not like a death, that you mourn the death and then it's over, but you continuously go through different phases of acceptance and sadness and celebration. And, you know, you have to make your own rules, and you have to make something that you never saw before in other parents. And, yeah, I think that's part of it.
The living loss is real because I think, yeah, like I said, for many of us, we say goodbye to the old versions of ourselves. We say goodbye to the life we thought we were building. We said goodbye to the life we thought our children would have. We say, but no one had died. But you have to say goodbye to all those things, like like you say goodbye to someone who's just passed away. But that person is you, is the future of your child that you thought you would have. Like, some people will say, if you say how sad you are, if you really talk to someone who has never gone through what we went through, and we say, "Oh, I feel so sad, and I'm just so sad." They'll be like, "Don't be too hard on yourself." And you're like, "What do you think?" We go in loops. I mean, in most of our community meetings where we have cakes and we also joke a lot about ourselves and all the silly things that our children still do, right? Because they're all different kids, and the comedy of our lives. I mean, it's hilarious when you look at it from through a different lens. But that's also a coping mechanism because it is sad. If you say goodbye to somebody, you have a ceremony to celebrate the life of that person. We are celebrating all the time, but we are also grieving all the time, and it goes up and down. You know, yeah. But it's great that we have this community for us. Because without the community, can you imagine how isolating that could be for many moms? And I try to imagine what it must have been like if we have had our children maybe 100 years ago.
Yeah.
It would have been so totally different. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And how do these spaces actually work? I would love to hear what you're building there, Sarah, with the in-person spaces that you are expanding on, as I understand, offering these meetups for the parents to come together while their children are also being taken care of. So you really create a space where both the children as well as the parents have a space where they can come and take a breath, really be themselves, be accepted. Yeah. And also spaces then um, for the children to be around each other and have also fun. There can be tears, there can be fun. All feelings are accepted, right, and welcomed. And that must, yeah, I can just imagine the moments when you are coming together and how that is like almost like a little retreat for everyone, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, well, I think it's like really all of the work that we do stems from a parent-centered place. What does the parent need? And in a world where we focus so much on the child, if you just look at, and this is just normal functioning children and just our world, if you look at um, a baby shower, it's not usually the mother that gets gifts for her. It's about giving to the
Yeah.
baby. So as a
Mhm.
society, I think we completely miss the role that mothers play, and of course, we take that for granted. And then you combined that with being a mother or a parent, a carer of a child with multiple disabilities, and you can understand the isolation that is there. And the loneliness, and that's not just in Amsterdam, that's in every pocket of the world, I can guarantee you. Um,
Mm.
So one of the things we're definitely not focused on, despite Nina and I having a child with the same rare condition, is we're not focused on the condition. So it doesn't actually matter if your child has a rare condition or they have severe autism. What matters is the intensity of their care needs. So placing the emphasis on the needs and who needs to supply those needs, and that's usually the parent. So we offer a parent support group once a month that meets in person, and it comes with free childcare. Um, and we also meet online. We found in the beginning days of starting this group that the attendance rates were almost non existent for the men or the other partner because somebody would need to be home to watch the child, of course. Um, and we found also that just moms in general felt less open to leaving their child to go get their own emotional and mental health support. So once we added childcare to it, our attendance numbers really increased. So that was a big part of it. And in addition to the support groups, we offer activities for children that have these intensive care needs from the ages of 8 to 16 years old, is the group we're focusing on now. And it's a meetup where these kids can also connect and make friends. Because the problem of loneliness is not just with the parent, it's also with the entire family. These children are usually bused to special schools, not in their neighborhood. It can be very hard to make friends when you're different and you're made fun of, or you can't properly speak or speak at all. So we offer a space where these kids can make their own friends and build their own confidence and give the parents, importantly, a needed break. This is in society that parents, with special needs kids, you can't find appropriate childcare and you can't find activities that actually are tailored to fit the needs of that child because they are so unique. So those are the things that we're focused on, and we're looking at getting more funding to expand those services, to raise awareness of how important this work is, and to connect with more families.
Mm, beautiful. Yeah, actually, that brings me to the call to action. And as I said, I would love to continue this conversation, and we will, I promise. But what would you need to make more impact? Sarah, call to action for everyone listening right now and to listen from all corners of the world as well. Um, what's needed? How can we support you? What can we do now?
I think it's about awareness, reading the stuff on our website, understanding about the journey that special needs parents are going through. It's very common. This is not a unique story. So one, it's about awareness, makes a huge difference. We need more funding to help more families. We're operating on a very small scale. I was given our first funding last year from a biotechnology company. It was a small amount of money and we achieved a tremendous amount with it. So I think that the cost of what we're doing is relatively low. It's not rocket science. This is about connection. It's about feeling less alone. So I guess the call to action is fund our work, be aware of what we're doing, be interested, be curious about other families that you meet that have different children. Um, and try to understand some of the complexities of what they're dealing with, and that their journey is not just a sad one. It's so much more complicated than that and beautiful than that, really.
Mm. Oh, thank you so much. I'm going to send you through the quick fire round. You know it. I can't wrap up hashtag impact and a hashtag impact episode without sending both of you through the quick fire round. I'm going to hand it over to Nina. Are you ready for it?
Fire away.
Making an impact means.
Making meanings.
Mm.
I think impact means to me is the quality of a connection, um, and meeting somebody and feeling seen and connected to others. I think impact is so hard to measure in this type of work because you can look at your KPIs and you have your performance indicators that show that you're doing something, but how do you measure and fully grasp the impact of work that's just about humans connecting and understanding each other?
And what could everyone do right now in this moment to make the world a better place, Nina?
Oh my God. Whew, that's a tough question. How? Okay, I don't know what everyone can do. I think to make the world a better place, wow, there's a lot going on right now. First of all, do not fight in a war. Do not start a war. I think that will help a lot. But if I center it around um, our society and to be more precise, my family and what would make it easier for us is probably better, more understanding, empathy. Empathy would definitely help a lot. Because I think a lot of the ideas that we have about our modern society being progressive and let's say more educated than the previous one um, is not accurate because now we have families like ours, especially international families, people who move around a lot and they don't have the families around them. And then if they find themselves in our position and there is no different story, there is no a different story wherever they live, then they have to go back to another setup and compromise or change their goals and aims and dreams. So if we look at it that way, then it is not a really progressive society because the opportunity to move away, to build a life in another country, or to go for your dreams and goals as parents of special needs children are somewhat limited to the support system, right? So it's not really equal. So I think if we want to call ourselves an equal and open society, we have to be, first of all, aware of that and not try to believe that we are something that we are not. And I think once we are there, we can empathize and understand that there are different families, and families like ours, obviously, we are medically diagnosed with a child of a special condition, but there are people who have different disabilities, uh, invisible ones that are not diagnosed or difficult to diagnose, who are going through this process right now because it took us also 2 years before we get our full medical diagnostic. So there are many people going through different phases in life, and we're there to support each other. And I hope we can be more empathetic and kinder to each other. Perhaps that's what I think what would make the world a better place. I know it sounds so cliche though, isn't it? Like be kind, but it is true, I think.
I know it's a cliche question and I hold on to it for many years now because I still love what
There's
comes
a reason,
out of it.
right?
Yeah.
There's always a
Sarah,
reason why it's a cliche.
I hold on to it. I hold on to it. Sarah, do you think you have something for us? What we could all do right now?
I mean, I would echo what Nina says, and I think like if we just look at difference, just the word difference, how we accept difference in this world, from the wars that are happening to our own children's genetic mutations, it all is about an unacceptance or an inability to see what you don't understand and know, right? And if we have more acceptance and more openness to learning about what we don't know or people that we don't know that are different to us, how much that can help make the world a better place, with that compassion that we're not all the same and we're not all supposed to be the same, but we're all here. And I think the difference of our children is just the most amazing gift. And it's a gift because it's something that is difference, and difference should be celebrated. And I really believe that in my heart, and I believe that in the work that I'm doing. And I believe that when I look at my son, and I think that gives me hope, you know?
Thank you so much for being here today. This was Sarah LaPham and Nina Aziz Justin of A Different Story. You find all the links in the show notes. Please connect, support, and thank you both so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure, Regina, as always.
Thank you so much for joining today. If you would like to get your voice heard on #impact, just send a voice note at #impact.com/story. I will include the link in the show notes as well, so you can easily find it. And if you love what you're hearing here, please tell your friends about it too. I talk to you soon. Bye.